Let's fucking go.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I am here to review Ryan Coogler's Sinner. Now, Ryan Coogler is one of the biggest directors in Hollywood. The man does not miss. He has directed some of the best films that's really been released, in some of the biggest films. He revitalized the Creed franchise and launched Black Panther. He's mostly well known for the Black Panther franchise and the Creed franchise, but movies like Fruitvale Station is something else that he has done. But most of his movies, he doesn't do a ton of movies. He doesn't do a ton of projects. In fact, since he's been around, like a lot of directors direct a lot of stuff, but he's really, I think Ryan Coogler really has only directed about 5 films, including this one, I think. Fruitvale Stations, the 2 Black Panther movies. He directed the first Creed and this movie. So Fruitvale, 2 Black Panthers, first Creed. Yeah, he's only directed 5. He's only made 5 films. But all 5 of his films are highly rated. I mean, the lowest rated one is Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and that's got an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. So that kind of tells you how impressive Ryan Coogler is. And his running mate, you know, someone he has with him all the time, Quentin Tarantino has Samuel L. Jackson in all his shit. You know, a lot of directors have someone they just like working with. I mean, Michael Ruckers and like all of James Gunn's shit, along with his brother. Every director has a person they like working with, a person they like collaborating with. And Coogler's actor that he loves is, you know, Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler have done some great work together. And in fact, pretty much every movie he's directed, he's had 2 people with him. He's had Ludwig Göransson, who is a great composer. I mean, he did the shit for The Mandalorian. He does all this music for the Black Panther movies. Ludwig Göransson is a great composer who's doing a lot more work these days outside of Coogler, but he always has him with him, and he has Michael B. Jordan usually in the lead role. I mean, honestly, I think the only film that he's directed where Michael B. Jordan wasn't in the lead role was the Black Panther movies, but I digress. He always has them with him, and these 2 are a collaboration that works, and it works great here as well. So the basic setup of Sinners is there are these 2 twin brothers. You got Stacks and you got Smokes, and Stacks and Smokes are played both by Michael B. Jordan. So Michael B. Jordan is doing double duty playing twin brothers. Now, he plays both of those. Now, Michael B. Jordan does an amazing job of playing Stacks and God damn it, Stacks and Smokes, because he does play them subtly different. As Smokes is the older brother, although they're twins, it's like Smokes considers himself the older brother. Obviously, he came out first. Smokes feels protective of Stacks. He feels like he needs to look over his little brother. Smokes is the more militant brother. Now, they kind of mentioned that both of them went into the military and fought in battle, but it seems like Smokes is the one who that old way of thinking really kind of solidified in him. Smokes is more about his business. Smokes is more about respect. Like, Smokes is he's a straightforward dude. Even the way he interacts with people. For instance, there's a scene where he sees this little girl and needs his little girl to just, can you just watch my truck for a second? And he negotiates. He tells her, I'll give you 15 cents. But then she's like, okay, she's happy about that. But he's like, no. Wait, you gonna just take that from me? No, negotiate with me. Now, negotiating. She says, I'll take 50. I'll give you 20. And like, he's that kind of dude. He's all about that. And once again, he shoots these 2 guys in places where he knows they're not gonna die, but he shoots them just to prove a point because they tried to rob him, but he also pays for them to get fixed up. Like, Smokes is a man of principle. Like, he is also torn up about the shit that they've done in the past, because as we find out in the course of the movie, Smokes and Stacks left their old town in Mississippi to go off to Chicago to fuck around with the mobsters. Like, after, you know, they went to war, but they came back, and then they went off to, you know, going to mobster shit in Chicago. Shit went south down there. We still really don't know. We still never quite find out how bad shit went south, but we know shit went south. They decided, all right, we're gonna just go back home and deal with the people we deal with shit, people and shit that we know more about and we can control, and we can, you know, we rather be in a more familiar environment to try to do whatever the fuck we're gonna do. So they come back home with a lot of money and a lot of booze and a lot of shit. And they're like, you know what, we're going to start off a juke joint, which was, you know, kind of like a party bar back in the 1930s, because this movie takes place in the 1930s Mississippi, to be more specific. And back in those days, they called it a juke joint, when you're just a dancing bar, you know, like a bar and booze and food, and just everyone's in here having a good time and dancing. They wanted to start that up. They wanted to, in a way, give to the community, but also profit as well. So that's their whole plan. And along the way, they pick up their cousin Sammy. Now, Sammy is an inspiring blues man. He's a young kid. Well, not a kid. He's like probably like 20, 21, probably like 20, 21, 22, something like that. But he's young. You know, he's relatively young. And, you know, his father is on him about, you know, because back in those days, you know, blues music and rock and roll and like that idea of that, and like the idea of rock and roll, the idea of blues music and certain types of things was considered like devil music, and, you know, that, you know, like they just kind of considered it that. Like it wasn't thought of in the way that we think of music today. Today you hear somebody singing like some music or a rapper or something, you're like, oh, well, that's great, you're talented. Back in the day, it was just like, you know, it's taken away from God and Christ and, you know, Bible thumping motherfuckers. And his dad was that. Sammy's dad was a Bible thumper. But Sammy wants to be a blues player so bad. He is incredibly talented in, you know, with his guitar. In fact, he has some of the best musical parts in the movie. Yes, this movie isn't a musical, so don't get worried about that. But a lot of the movie is kind of centered around music. And in fact, one of the allegories / messages of the movie is about how music transcends age, time, space. Like, you know, like good music will live on forever. Like good music is something that no matter where you are, no matter who you are, it will always live on. It epitomizes an entire culture. An entire culture can be almost identified by their music, and the importance of music, and how like you know, for so many things that were taken away from especially slaves and whatnot. One of the things that was carried on from Africa when, you know, black folks got taken over to America was the music. And like it's something that's like it means something. And at a certain point in the movie, Sammy's playing and there's this insane, like, it's an ambitious shot in this movie of them of him like showing all these people from the past and the present and like all these people dancing, and the idea being that like no matter the time, like we all did the same shit. I always say this all the time. Times don't really change, things just get faster. Things get faster, but like the heart of things are the same. The idea is people were dancing to, you know, their version of whatever they thought was amazing at the time, just like we danced to our shit. The same way someone can go to a club, dance up on somebody to I don't know, to Drake or someone like that. It's the same way that these people would probably dance to someone playing a good guitar song. So I think that the musical allegory was brilliant. But unfortunately for Sammy, as they made clear at the beginning of the movie, sometimes if you really play good enough, if you really got a good enough soul, if you got the gift, as they called it, and if you play good enough, you can poke the veil or something like that. And when you poke the veil, you can bring joy to people. Literally, you can heal people with music, apparently. But unfortunately, you also kind of call darkness. In this case, the darkness came in the form of vampires. So, and that's the basis crux of the movie, is this entire party gets blown to smithereens, gets blown up by vampires because Sammy plays too good. If you really want to look at it that way, if you really want to boil it down, a party in the 1930s in Mississippi gets blown up because one guy plays too goddamn good. But there are some great performances in this movie. The actor who plays Sammy does a great job. Michael B. Jordan is doing a great job. There's some, even Haley Steinfeld, who's in this movie, which I was wondering how they were going to play that, but it all makes sense in the end. It's also a movie about racism and racial appropriation. There is some of that in there. Obviously, it's 1930 Mississippi within a town full of black people. You know there's going to be something along those lines. But it's also a bloody good movie. I love its interpretation of vampires, because something that I was thinking about while I was driving home from the theater is is that vampires, the original source of vampires it was evil spirits that took over dead bodies. Like, whether you buried the body wrong or you cheated on your spouse or there's a bunch of different things. Like, that was the original source in all different cultures. You know, from Africa to Japan to Asia to like all over the world, America. Like, that was like something people all came to the same conclusion. I always find that something that's fascinating about vampire lore in general is that every country, every culture has their own version of it. All across the world, even though some of these people never even came in contact with each other, they still all came to the same conclusions of this spirit taking over the body of a dead one, bringing them back so that they can go out and cause chaos and kill. But in this case, someone calls it the hate, because the spirit gets into your body and it just fuels all the things that you hate. It makes you the worst version of yourself. These vampires are less like modern vampires tend to be more biological, or you know, like whatever you think pretty, like because for instance, these vampires, when they get bitten, they don't heal. They don't just heal up and become better now. It's like, no, dude, they're a corpse. They literally are a corpse. They're not just like a pretty corpse. But I digress. I love their interpretation of vampires. It's very old school. It's very like roots vampires. And the vampires are dangerous. They're bloody. They're vicious. You turn real fast. It's probably the quickest I've seen vampires turn in anything. Like, I mean, it takes like less than 20 seconds, like 30 seconds to turn into a vampire after getting bit. And you don't even got to get bit anywhere crazy. You just got to get bit. Yeah, so vampires turn super fast. I love the music. The cast is great. Coogler's direction. There's one shot at the beginning of the movie that's like, it's at one store and it goes all, the camera follows. It's a oneer from one store all the way to another store. Boom, boom, boom. And then all the way back to the other store. It was such a great shot. It was such a great shot. It was so creative. I love this movie. Sinners is probably going to go down as one of the best, Sinners is probably going to go down as one of the best horror movies of all time, in my opinion, because I think this movie's doing so many different things. But I give Sinner a 10. Thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.